is just fantastic.
Hello everyone, welcome to the exhibition of stupid people. Today we're going to start with a tweet from Yeet. Hassan Orbiter calls lawyers of housekeeper who's suing Ethan Klein to let them know Ethan is defaming their client. When it comes to involving yourself into legal matters, it feels like snitches get stitches territory. It feels like main character syndrome to make something about yourself. Makes you look like a massive virtue signalling fool. In fact, there are many things wrong with it. So let's play the clip, or part of it, because it's a bit long, and then insert some obligatory commentary.
Just being racist, like literally. Like he doesn't know what Turkish people look like. So he's just calling Hassan's mom a Hispanic lady. Also the idea of like, he's just making accusations to distract from the fact he's being sued for being a terrible employer.
I'm going to quote Movie Bob, who once said, and this is used quite a lot, there are no bad tactics, only bad targets. Because it seems to be the mantra of many people who think that you can do anything as long as you get one up on someone else, right? However, I firmly believe that the mantra is supposed to be just be nice. It's not rocket science here. You shouldn't be inserting yourself into legal matters that have nothing to do with you. What happens between them is business they themselves should gather the evidence of and resolve themselves. I also think that in this, it becomes there are bad targets because of bad tactics.
What a f***ing scumbag. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm sure they know this, but I'm gonna call up the attorneys of that lawsuit and let them know, just to make sure they're, like, I'm assuming they're aware, but honestly, it might not be. And I think Ethan's, like, you know, his show would be kind of useful for them. So that I'm gonna do that real quick.
Yeah, so this is a surprisingly weird flex from somebody who believes they've done something good for this world. I'll stand by what I've said, because I'm not involved in the situation concerning the housekeeper and Ethan Klein. It is not my place to insert myself into that, and any evidence gathered by legal officials should be done by them and them alone. You acting as some kind of informant makes you look like you're a Hassan Piker orbiter, a virtue signaler, because you've got to go to bat for Hassan because you just have to hate Ethan Klein. Your boner in this regard is a fairly obvious boner.
All right, chat. I gave a call over to her. I gave a call. I talked to them, and they're going to be looking into it. I just figured no one would actually reach out to the attorneys and be like, "Hey, the guy you're suing is like defaming your client and talking about the case. So you should probably take a look at that." So I gave them a heads up. Honestly, I should do like an H3 snark A. It would be kind of funny.
How desperate are you for clout and attention that you invest yourself into this? This is the type of content many do in this area of Twitch. It's kind of tragic. Reaction content I've never been a fan of. I will never be a fan of. It's lazy in this respect. Because you have to be an orbiter. You have a line in the sand politically. You have to, for the sake of tribalism, stand up for what you believe, but sit down while doing it. And what you believe usually comes from the person at the top. The head of the snake, as it were, that being Hassan Piker. So your hate boner for Ethan isn't really based on your own thoughts, which is another problem many of you orbiters have, and you are an orbiter for certain. It's that you lack any original and credible thought. With that in mind, let's move on to a tweet from Bearing. Steve Shives thinks investigating USAID, or USAID, whatever it's called, is racist and queerphobic. In a short clip taken from one of his more recent videos, let's go through that.
Things like funding for DEI programs in Serbia, funding a so-called DEI musical in Ireland, funding a transgender opera in Colombia, and a transgender comic book in Peru. As you might expect, the list is full of racist, queerphobic hysteria.
I fully support the abolition of anything that means you're wasting your hard-earned tax dollar on foreign aid, for the most part. There are countries in this world that genuinely need help, but there's only so far that help can go. President Trump won the election, resoundingly won that election, with the promise that he would fix this. Stop with the wasting of taxpayer money, and this ballpark is one of those areas where you have found, as Steve Shives himself recited, where money was being wasted. You can call it queerphobic, but the reality is, why should America be giving away so much of its money to other countries for things like this anyway. Why should it? In the same sense, I don't think the United Kingdom should either. Yet we've made pacts with a number of countries to continue help fuel the wars in their countries, something which I do not support. For Steve to use racism and queerphobia as the thought-terminating cliche buzzy buzzwords as a means to try and negate the reality that you, the taxpayer, should know where your money's going is insulting to the taxpayer. And you should know where your money's going. There should be accountability and there should be transparency. The federal government and any other object, wing, item, whatever you want to call it, that receives federal money should be known. It should be transparent. It should be 100% out there. It should be declassified. There should be no security on that. When it comes to federal spending, it's important to see where it goes. It really does. If you don't agree with that, that's quite alright, but we've seen from this USAID crap, a lot of it was a waste of money. It's not hysteria to acknowledge that that is wrong, Steve. But go figure, you think this is some kind of discrimination thing. It's really not. But don't forget here, Donald Trump was voted to deal with this, because people have become well and truly sick and tired of it, and after the last election, when Biden won, yeah, people learnt their lesson pretty quick when it came to wasting and no accountability. So moving on, because I don't want to go through Steve's video, it would take far too long. Let's go to a tweet from Colin Rugg featuring the rapper Dank Demos. I featured on this channel last week or the week before? Yes. She's quite big. She's about 500 pounds. She's a rapper who, as you all know from a recent video, went viral when a Lyft driver refused to drive her, and she's suing Lyft for that. Now, well, she appeared recently on The Breakfast Club, where she made a few comparisons about herself on this show. Now, I don't know how much of this I'll be able to play, so we'll test waters and see what happens. If it doesn't get through YouTube's system, I'm going to be quite cross.
You good?
Good morning.
What's going on? Nice to meet you.
Hi, how are you?
Stormy. Hey, King. How you, brother? You good? Nice to meet you, King.
Got it.
Yep. This the only seat y'all got?
What you want? What you need?
There's one
A bigger chair or something?
Is she already little?
We had,
This is what I'm talking about. Good, this is the accommodation.
there you go.
What's great is you're about to hear some absolutely stellar quality entitlement, as if we didn't get it right from the start when she waddled into the room. I am very impressed at the level of commitment one has to acting as if they're that damn good. I listened to some of your raps, you're not that good. You're being propped up as the replacement to Tess Holiday, which is equally quite embarrassing, really.
You know, you walked in and, you know, you said the chair was too small, so we had to bring the part of the sectional for you to sit in. And you said something, you said, now this is what I'm talking about, accommodations, right?
Yes.
But we live in a world that's not always going to be able to accommodate people that are
But we
plus
should,
size.
though. We should, because we not all the same, you know?
No, we're really not. Now, I know in the United States there's a lot of space, so of course you can accommodate. If you're not in a, city, some of those are quite densely populated, it's hard to accommodate for somebody who can't fit through a door, even if they turn sideways. I hear windows have to be taken apart just to get you through. In my country, we could never accommodate, because we're quite small anyway, and because, honestly, we're going to judge you and bully you until you lose the weight. It's in our nature. We're very good at insulting. It's genetic. Society should not, nor should it ever, condone or prop up someone like yourself for your size. Ever. No preferential treatment should ever exist based on your size. Because you are super morbidly obese, you are racing your body down to the bottom. You are a terrible avatar, actually a good one I guess, for selfishness, gluttony, laziness, entitlement. Generally just disgusting. Whichever's easiest for you, really. Your feet are small and you can't stand up properly. If you lean too much one side, you fall over. And too much for you is 1 degree. Others could lean like Michael Jackson. You only lean like that when you're falling backwards. The following word I'm sure you're quite accustomed to. Timber!
I feel like we should. Like, why not? I feel like a lot of times people think that bigger people, obese, the F word people should just be in a house. When it's like, we not.
Word?
Yeah, the F word. I'm not
The
about
word
to
that you can't say in your house,
Yeah.
fat. You don't like it.
Oh!
I'm not saying that word.
I love that we're now saying the F word as if the F word hasn't been co-opted by other F words. UCK, Mr. Brains, and now AT. I guess I can still call you super morbidly obese then. Is horizontally gifted acceptable? Should we move on? I think we should move on, because I could be here all day mocking this individual. Let's instead quickly touch upon PlayStation. Recently there was an outage on the PSN thing. Doodah, right? The last time I remember this happening was back in 2011, and it led to a lot of personal data being stolen. PlayStation gave, I believe, a number of video games to people as compensation for that. This time it was down for about a day. It has been dubbed by PSN or PlayStation as an operational issue. According to my Twitch chat last night, the word Concord featured. One does wonder. Now, existing PSN or PlayStation Plus users, so those that pay for that crappy subscription, get 5 days of free PS Plus compensation. Now, that equates to roughly $1. Okay, congratulations. I don't know how you're going to insert that, whether you're going to take it off someone's bill or whether you're going to just give them 5 days when their subscription ends. A query many have raised as a point of order. Those who do not have PS Plus, but needed to use PSN to play games like Rocket League, for example, get nothing. Now, this bothered a lot of people. Understandably, this could be someone's profession, for example, and we all look down on the gamers, don't we now? That's why I'm streaming on Twitch tonight playing Euro Truck Simulator 2. It's not on PlayStation. I have a bit of an issue when it comes to Microsoft's subscription service, PlayStation's, Nintendo's. I have an issue with it because I don't like it. I like physical copies. I like knowing that my game isn't tethered to the internet, but if you provide a service, it must be there. If it is not there, then you should pay for all of those impacted by it. By deciding, apparently at this point, that those without PS Plus are unworthy of any kind of, suitable sorry, I don't know, give them a cheap game or something, right, is an insult to them as well. It may have only been one day and many will look down and say, you're just crying over nothing. But it's not about the nothing. It's about making sure that those that provide a service can keep that service running. The PSN network as a whole is an important service for a lot of gamers, casual or professional. It doesn't matter. That service needs to run. And we don't know what the issue is because much like Nintendo, much like many gaming companies, the developers, they're not known for transparency. Microsoft are at least honest enough to tell you to go shove yourself, up yourself, inside yourself, repeatedly. Give them some credit in that respect, although I'm still not paying for the Xbox thing because I don't really care for Xboxes. After the debacle with PSN back in 2011, I think it was, you'd think PlayStation would learn to be a bit more open and honest about what happens, because optics are not going to be on their side if they keep things quiet. Offering Soddle to those who don't have PS Plus might sour a few people. By a few, I mean a considerable number. I'll just sit happily in my corner with a working PS1, 2, 3 and 4 and refuse to use the PSN network as much as possible because I don't care for it. I really don't. I play games to play games, I don't play games to enjoy other people's company.